So I'm going to set the scene. I'm going to set the scene the same way I just had Tito Puente Jr. in here. So you're at a restaurant.
Okay.
Okay. The waiter or waitress comes over and gives you the bill, and you hand them your credit card, and they look at the credit card and they look again, they go, really, Julio Iglesias? Are you related in some form? Come on, that has to happen to you more than one or two times.
And depends on the mood I'm in. If I'm tired and I don't feel, which is not usually what happens to me, but if I'm tired and I don't feel like talking to anybody at that time, I just say, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. It's funny, I know I have the same last name and the same name, but it's really not me.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah.
And then there are people who still look at you going, come on, really?
And then they see the way I'm dressed and I'm like, nah, it can't be him.
Were you destined? Was it destiny for you to become an entertainer and become such a popular singer in the culture that you're in?
Tony, I grew up traveling with my dad when I was very young. I must have been 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I'll never forget that first tour through Europe with my father when he told my mother that he wanted to take Julio Jr. on a small tour around Europe. And that's the real first time I must have been 8 years old when I saw my dad performing in stadiums with 25, 30, 40,000 people.
Was that when you realized who he was? Was that when you
That's
realized
when I actually did
impact?
realize who he was, when I saw all those people singing those songs and really adoring my dad on stage. And I was like, wow, what's happening? This is crazy. And then I would go back to school and all the mothers of my friends would come up to me and say, I can't wait to meet your dad. When is he picking you up from school? That's when I started thinking, I guess my dad is very, very liked. It was interesting. It was special, It was special because just to see all those people worshiping your dad and enjoying what he does and singing his songs and it was just super, super nice. I can never complain. Those people that say, oh, you grew up in the limelight with your dad. Oh, it must have been a pain. It must have been horrific. No, it was actually really nice. It was actually really nice when people enjoy what your dad does,
But to you, he was just dad. I mean,
For me,
when
it was
he was
just
home,
dad.
right?
Oh,
You guys
yeah,
hung
completely.
out, did your thing, dad and son things?
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, I lived in Spain till I was about 10 years old, and I moved to Miami because my grandfather got kidnapped in 1983.
Got kidnapped?
He got kidnapped by ETA in Spain, by a group of bad people, and he was kidnapped for 3 months. My parents were divorced at the time, and my father and my mother talked, obviously, and they decided to bring the kids to the U.S. because my dad was really kind of living in Miami. So we came to the U.S., my sister, my brother, and I, with a nanny, because my mother obviously was already remarried. And she stayed in Spain, and my dad was traveling all over the world. In the 80s, my dad spent 2 days a year at home.
2 days?
2 days in Miami. 2 to 3 days a year in Miami. So we grew up pretty much with our grandma and the nanny that came over with us from Spain.
Wow.
And then my grandfather got rescued by the Spanish police.
So I was going to ask you, he got out, right?
He lost like 35 pounds, and he was already a super skinny guy. So when he came out after 3 months, he was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was an incredible story, and that's my same grandfather that had a baby at 90
Wow,
plus.
That's incredible.
2 babies. So it was interesting. I came from Spain when I was very young. First time in the U.S. I barely spoke any English. I left my mother in Europe. I left all my best friends in Europe. I left my soccer, football in España, my Real Madrid, my going to the stadium every Sunday to watch my team. And I thought Spain was the only place in the world that existed. At 9 years old,
lived in a bubble.
You're like, this is it. Where am I going? What is this? What is this 9-hour flight? Where am I going?
Yeah.
And I land here in Miami during the summer, the beginning of the summer, which must have been July. I start school in August, the end of August, and I start realizing that it's always summer here in Miami. I'm like, it never gets cold here. And it was really weird, but it was so great. And I changed my football, soccer, to windsurfing, to surfing, to playing tennis, to spending more time outdoors, because we don't have, in Spain you have 6 months of harsh winter.
Right.
And it was I started getting used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting used to it, and I actually started enjoying it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Spending the summers in Spain with my mother, 3 months out of the summer when we have vacation from elementary school, and then coming back here in September, starting school again, and spending the winter. Spending Christmas and summers in Spain with my family.
So you were spending a lot of time. Obviously, you said your nanny and the grandma. Your dad was on tour all the time. What
Yes.
kind of correspondence did you have with your dad? What kind of relationship did you have with him?
It wasn't like the typical father and son relationship with my brother and my sister and I, because I said we used to see my dad twice a year, But my dad was working, and I could never say, I miss that, because I never really had it.
Right.
So actually, the most I've actually spent with my dad was when I went on tour with him 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's where I actually had breakfast with him, lunch and dinner at age 46. Actually, at age 42.
Did you like his music growing up? Or what music did you like?
You know what? I started enjoying my dad's music when I was in my 20s. When I was in my 20s, I started realizing that all these melodies, all these great old songs were really amazing and really touched my heart. Because I started really analyzing all the lyrics, and that's when I started writing music. And that's when I really realized, wow, what a great songwriter my dad was in the 70s, and what great songs that now I understand why people really appreciate those Me Olvidé de Vivir, Manuela, La Vida Sigue Igual, all those great songs that my dad has sang and done throughout his whole career.
Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide that, because I asked Tito this, you could go either way, right? You could either embrace the heritage, embrace the name especially,
yes,
or just you want to go do your own thing. So at what point did you go, you know what, I am going to embrace this, and I'm going to be Julio Iglesias Jr., and I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
But I know there's going to be...
But I know where I come from.
Right.
I definitely know where I come from. I definitely know that my dad, I've inherited all the reason why I do music is because of my dad. There's no other way. There's no other reason why I would do music. I grew up watching him on stage. I grew up listening to his music. 10 years ago, one day I was doing a show in Russia, in Moscow, and somebody in the audience said to me, "Crazy, please sing Crazy." And I said, "Crazy?" I said, "Crazy? Do I even know the lyrics of Crazy?" And I've heard it so many times that I told the pianist, same key as my dad, play Crazy. And I sang the song for the first time at a private show in Moscow. And I sang it, and people loved it. I saw the reaction in people's faces, because I reminded them a lot of my father when I sang that song. And that's the day that I said to myself, this is what I have to do. I have got to take all of my dad's songs and sing them my own way, in my own style, and this is what I have to do.
I mean, you're telling me the story, and I got some goose leather just listening to it. That had to be so emotional.
It was super special for me, Tony, because I never sang that song in my life, and I told the pianist, play Crazy, dun, 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 and I sang it, and it felt so good. It felt so real that I was like, wow. I was actually impressed at myself.
I was not saying, but
I was impressed, because I was like, I've never sang this song, and I'm in this private show. It wasn't a lot of people, because I do a lot of private shows, like little parties. Must have been only like 50, 60 people, but still, it was very emotional for me, because I'd never done a song like that, a crooner type song, where it's like,
and such a signature song,
such a signature song.
It's
Willie Nelson,
well, Patsy Cline.
My dad, and the way my dad sings it, it's so beautiful. And I've listened to it so many times that I actually knew the lyrics just by listening to my father. I never studied that song, but I knew all the lyrics. It was crazy. It was crazy that I sang crazy. And it was a lot of fun. And that's when I realized that those are the songs that make me happy.
Well, what a pleasure to speak with you, and we're gonna talk to you a little bit more about what you are doing now and some of the great ventures you're doing. But since this is the Baby Boomer Report,
yes,
and we have baby boomers paying attention, I think we need to address before we go one thing here to make a point.
Okay.
Your grandfather was 92.
Yes.
And he fathered
2 kids,
2 children.
Yes.
So it's possible.
It is possible. Yes, it is. I actually, Tony, I say this story in places where people look at me and their faces turn purple. They don't believe me. They don't believe me. And I tell them, yeah, my father has a sister that's 14 and a brother that is 15.
And they're your aunt and uncle.
And those are my aunt and uncle. And they're like, yeah, right. I'm like, look it up in the internet.
How perfect for the Baby Boomer Report. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Julio Iglesias Jr., you have now decided, okay, I'm going to embrace this heritage I have. I'm going to embrace what my God-given talent here. So tell us about your career and sort of the initial start. And was it easy? Was it difficult breaking that barrier? And then now that you're kind of soaring, and with your latest release, Timeless.
Well, Tony, the Timeless is I call my music, what I'm doing now, timeless, because it's all those songs that are timeless in the sense that all those melodies that people know already, that people remember, that bring out memories. When I do my show and I sing all of my dad's songs from the 70s and 80s, in Spanish, in English, in French, and I see the reaction of the people's faces, I really enjoy that, because I see that brings them all these memories from the past. The young people that come to my shows tell me, my mother used to play that song every day 1,000 times. So they remember that song because of the parents. The mothers remember that song because that's how they fell in love,
right,
with their husbands and with their boyfriends at the time. So it's really great because I get to sing all these great.
How cool is that?
I love that.
Right?
I love that because it makes me really happy when people tell me, "Wow, that song brings me so many memories." That's why I call this timeless, because there's those timeless songs that never go out of style.
But isn't that what music is about? I mean, when you hear a song, doesn't it bring you back to the first time you heard that song, to the moment where you were,
I think
how
so.
you felt?
I think so. That's why I'm so happy doing what I'm doing now. That's why it's really the best decision that I've made. To sing all these songs that people embrace, that people remember, that people love, that people still love, because they never go out of style. Those melodies, those lyrics will never go out of style.
Is your audience a cross-section of baby boomer and Gen X, the younger generation? Is it a combination of both?
I definitely think so, Tony, because there's the parents, the people that are my age, that are older than me. There's the 60, 70-year-olds that are bringing their kids, that listen to the songs, listen to a lot of my dad's songs, listen to a lot of crooner songs. And so I love that. I love the different generations that are coming to my shows. It's a lot of fun. It's very interesting.
At what point do you want to become, or I mean, at what point did you say, okay, I'm going to take some of these great songs,
yes,
and I'm going to put my spin on it,
yes,
and I'm going to mix and match with what I've written, because I'm going to write something a little different. I'm going to write my experiences and how I feel.
Exactly. Well, it's been about 12, 13 years that I've really embraced this type of show, and now it's when I finally, for the last 5 years, when I've been doing the timeless songs, all over the world is when and this is a time when I feel more comfortable, when I feel the happiest, performing wise.
Mm-hmm. Your dad toward the end of his career, and we started seeing more and more collaborative presentations, right?
Yes.
Whether it would be Sinatra and Streisand, and necessarily they wouldn't necessarily do it together, but they
Yeah.
would record separately and they would put it together on a record.
Exactly.
Is there somebody that you would like to collaborate with, that you would like to do a song with?
You know what's funny, Tony? I was thinking, I was talking to my team, and I would love, for example, to do my single. I came out with a single, obviously, the song "To All the Girls I've Loved Before," all the girls we've loved before, and I would love to do that song with Willie Nelson's son, Lucas Wilson. I think that would be great. Something like that,
Yeah.
I would love to do All of You with Diana Ross's daughter. I don't know if I think she has a daughter.
Yeah.
Stuff like that would be so interesting, because it would be like so melancholic, just
Yeah.
to see the different generations singing the same song, but now the son and the daughter, or the son and the son.
Natalie Cole did that, right? With her dad. She did
Yes.
it with her dad. But
Exactly.
still, she sort of they did that whole thing
Taking
together.
it to her own style. I just came out with To All the Girls. I did that song. It was one of my first singles, and I did it in my style. I did To All the Girls in Julio Jr. style.
You're only 46,
Yeah.
and so you're not that baby boomer age. But we talked about all the people that listen to you and go to your concerts.
Yes.
How have things changed in terms of how you did business when you first started to now? I mean, from before it was like, I'm doing a record and I'm going to release it on disc, and that's what it's going to be what it is. And now, as soon as it's done, Spotify has it, Amazon Music has it, Apple Music has it, you name it, it's on.
It's crazy. Somebody was telling me the other day that vinyl is coming. Now vinyl is like super.
It's back in.
It's back in. It's like stylish now. People are using the vinyl.
My father used to say, if you keep things long enough, they'll come back in style.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? I was like, yeah, I can't believe. So you never know. You never know. Obviously, in 2003, 2004, everything changed with the whole internet and the whole records online and all the way you record. Before, you needed like a big studio with all these big consoles and a lot of time, a lot of money. And now people can record records at home with their own phone.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's good.
Have you embraced social media? Have you embraced it all?
I enjoy it. I think the world needs things happen, and it's good. It's good. It's not good when everything stays the same. I like different. I like different. I like when things happen. Why not? It's got to be that way.
You do more than just. I mean, I know you have a lot of hobbies. I mean, you can't just live your life the same way all the time, or it's like Groundhog Day, right? You can't. So
Tony,
tell me about some. Now I understand, and this is what I found interesting. Is one of them is you love to landscape.
Tony, I'm a complete handyman. I do everything. My friends think I'm crazy. I do landscaping. I do carpentry. I do plumbing. I do electricity.
Wow.
I build things with my hands. I go up in the palm trees and I cut the coconuts, and I climb the palm tree. With my,
what are you,
with
crazy?
I climb all the way 40 feet up there. I look like a monkey, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. That's why I stay in shape, because
You're constantly on the move.
I never stop. Stop. Tomorrow I'll be driving to the Keys. I clean the house and I drive back the same day, and I'm just nonstop. And I really enjoy it. It makes me happy. Sports make me happy. I love to play tennis. I love water sports, windsurfing, surfing, kiteboarding, wakeboarding. I play soccer. I'm super active. When I'm not recording, when I'm not touring, I'm always doing something.
And what about? You got some different ventures too that you're starting to dabble in.
Well, yes, I am. I am coming out with a hot sauce, which is very interesting for me. I never thought
hot sauce.
Yeah, I never.
Are you a spicy kind of guy?
I like spicy. I got introduced to this venture, with hot sauce, and I'm very excited about it.
What's the name of it?
Julio's.
Julio's hot sauce.
Yes, sir.
Is it just one kind of hot sauce?
It's
Is it a
different.
regular Chipotle?
It's different flavors, and,
Yeah.
and it's great, and it's super high quality, and I hope people enjoy it, which is the most important thing.
I love spice. I can't
Oh
wait to try
yeah,
it.
great.
I can't
Well,
wait to
hopefully
try
you'll like it.
Yeah. So as we leave this podcast, and we're just so thrilled that you're here, how can people find you and follow you and stay up with your career and get more information about concerts and shows that you're doing?
Well, through my website, Julio Iglesias Jr. online, through my Instagram, which is Julio Jr. Official, and through my name online. That's it.
Are you on Twitter too?
I'm on everything.
You,
I'm on everything.
who would
I'm on
have
everything.
ever thought? So here's the last thing. Completely off the wall.
Yes.
Okay, you're sitting at home at night.
Yes.
You're streaming Netflix or Hulu or Amazon.
Yes.
What shows are you watching? What shows are you streaming now?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
You know what I watch when I'm at home? Another thing that I love, I'm a mechanic also. So I love antique cars. I love muscle cars, American muscle cars.
Right. GTOs.
GTO,
Yeah,
Camaro,
Yeah,
Broncos.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love I love that. I'm also a mechanic. I love that stuff. So I watch Velocity Channel, which is now Motor Trend.
Right, Motor Trend. Yep, they changed
I watch Home and Garden Channel.
Yeah. Now I watched that one.
That's what I watch. Home and Garden Channel, and I watch the DIY Channel.
Okay.
That's
if
what
you
I
went to
watch.
Hallmark, then we're real totally
Yeah,
different.
that's what I watch. I don't. Netflix, no. I like something that I can learn from.
You want to leave that show as if you learned something, news you can use.
Yes, sir. That's really how I feel. That's really how I feel about those shows. I don't watch some of those series. I get anxious. I want to do something. I want to learn something. I don't have time to just sit there and. I don't want to be entertained. I want to learn.
Well, just a little insight. He's a big 49ers fan.
Yes, and then Packers fan.
And a Packers fan too.
Yeah, also.
It's pretty hard not to like Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah,
right?
he's great.
Right. So we're recording this in early November, so we're not sure by the time this airs if it's going to be Super Bowl time, but we'll have to revisit and see if the
interesting.
49ers or the Packers get into the Super Bowl.
Interesting season.
Thanks a lot, Julio.
Thank you, Tony. Thank
A
you.
pleasure to
Nice
spend
to
time
see
with you.
you.
Nice to see you as
Again,
well.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, great
How
job.
awesome was that? That was great. Easy
Couldn't ask for
conversation.
better.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for better.